What's pu'er tea? Is pu'er tea the oldest type of tea? Do you know how to appreciate it? And how about storing gin? My dear friends, this is Mabel. Today I'd like to recommend an English book, The First Guide to Chinese Pu'er Tea, 演义中国普洱茶. I think this is one of the very few pu'er tea books in English. After reading this, I have gained a lot. That's why I'd like to recommend this book through three parts: the content and the purpose of this book, which means that how we are going to learn this book. And the third part is some things that I think they can do a better job. Okay. Firstly, the content is really practical and useful, which covers the history closely related to ancient tea throat, of course, and how the pu'er tea became the superstar. And how do we know the pu'er tea is pu'er tea? What makes pu'er tea so special, which means the processing skills, and how we are going to appreciate the pu'er tea. In other words, how we can brew the cup of pu'er tea. The last part, which I love it, this is very rare and precious, which are about the antique pu'er tea from 19th century to last century, which lasts over 100 years, over the whole century. So you can see, we can gain or not. Of course, we know the pu'er tea is a gift carved by time. So the wonderful part about pu'er tea is to drink the old antique tea. In that case, we are going to store the pu'er tea. So we will enjoy. How we are going to store the pu'er tea? Shall we randomly put them somewhere? Of course not. So this book gives us lots of useful tips for either appreciation and storing gin, which I'd like you to read by yourself. Secondly, I like this book because the author loves pu'er tea. We always know passion and interest is the best driving power. Being a Hong Kongese, his English, of course, is proficient, so we can count on his words. Additionally, he loves pu'er tea, and since he was very young, his family was doing the pu'er tea, which enhanced his experience. So there are lots of very practical experiences and knowledges you can learn from. How we are going to learn them? Yes, if you are able to buy this book, you go to read them line by line and then compare what you learn. If you disagree, of course, you are able to check and investigate. After that, you are going to summarize. Most of those terminologies are correct, of course. For example, 如何说生茶和熟茶? Yes, raw pu'er tea and ripe pu'er tea. Well, we know that in the mainland China, people, they have different translation about the pu'er tea, especially for the ripe pu'er tea. They either say that it's a fermented tea, or they call it cooked pu'er tea, 煮熟的普洱茶. In the ISO 2023, 熟茶 is translated as ripened pu'er tea, which are all wrong. Why? First, all the raw pu'er tea and ripe pu'er tea, they are fermented. So use fermentation or fermented to describe the ripe pu'er tea only is incorrect. Secondly, the cooked means something is being cooked which lost its life. However, pu'er tea can be stored with better quality over time. So the word of cooked is totally wrong, and the lost is too many of pu'er tea don't mention the aesthetics. How about ripen? R-I-P-N. After all, it is definition in ISO 2023. Don't forget, to describe something, we should use the descriptive word. So ripen, actually that is the passive word. If we compare ripen and ripe on Google, for sure, ripe is more often used. So consider the English way. Ripe pu'er tea is a correct and precise word for 熟茶, pu'er 熟茶. There are many more aspects that I'd like to discuss that with you in future, okay? Thirdly, of course, this book was published in 2006. There are some misguiding information. For example, it mentions that the pu'er tea history could be traced back to the Song Dynasty. However, in the Song Dynasty, we know that the mainstream is the compressed steamed green tea, not pu'er tea. The last thing I'd like to highlight is that I would strongly recommend the spelling of P-U-E-R, pu'er, which is the pinyin of pu'er cha, to state pu'er tea, although P-U-E-R-H or P-U-E-R-H are commonly used overseas. Why? Because pu'er tea can be only produced in Yunnan, China. So by using pinyin, that definitely indicate the value of origin. Only if we use the pinyin, which the pu'er tea is exclusively produced here in Yunnan, that is to spread the true meaning and the true charm of pu'er tea. So what's real pu'er tea and how to process the pu'er tea? I hope that you have a chance to buy this book and together with other Chinese pu'er tea book or some English book to really know. Since it is the first guide to Chinese pu'er tea, it is very easy. If you really want to learn about pu'er tea and meanwhile learn some English about pu'er tea, I think this is the right book for you. I'm glad that there has version 2 and I'm looking forward to reading it. How about you?